let's start with the how AI will kind of change things and what advice I would have around that.
Mm-hmm.
There are from working a while in industry and then also being a teacher for a while, there are certain skills that appear to me to be more durable. What I would say, they're more durable in their application.
Mm-hmm.
So as an example, understanding that you need to segment the market by looking at the entire possible market and grouping the entire possible market into possible segments before you then decide which of those segments are worthy of targeting is kind of somewhat universal. And whether AI is doing that, and you are a prompt engineer that's figuring out the precise language to type into an AI system for it to segment the market the way you want it to, or you are a marketing researcher that's using Google Trends to figure it out. Like, it could be one or both or a combination of those things. The understanding of the evidence-based approach does not change. Mm-hmm. And so I think there's those kind of durable skills are ones that I try to focus in. Listen, in the classroom, we have certain things that we have to cover that are important for every student to know. But I will tend to spend extra time on these areas like, okay, well, I know this is a durable. I've worked with many marketers, and I see if you get some of these concepts, it tends to make you more successful. So I guess the advice that I would have there is, it can be really, really fun to, and we do this in class, getting Google AdWords certified and Google Analytics certified. Those are skills that are very helpful, but also understanding some of the deeper conceptual things around segmentation, targeting, positioning, important components of persuasion that are somewhat fixed. Like, we as humans are not necessarily changing the stimuli that we respond to. We are still persuaded by things like scarcity and reciprocity and the concepts of liking from the Cialdini research and things like that. So there's certain things that are very durable that we shouldn't get blow by because we're excited to learn about one of the new shiny tools. And so, I think that's somewhat important. The work that we're doing, whether it be in an undergraduate class or a graduate classroom, I can see that much of what I learned in my undergraduate or graduate education, there's certain things that still applies no matter how much change there is. Mm-hmm. And I think that's in some ways the value that, the degrees that we're working on here together, that they have, is that you are better able to cope with what will continue to be a lot of change because you have deep understandings in certain areas that guide your thinking. And so that's really the work that we're doing here, is to help you continue to have durable skills that guide your thinking as the outside world of marketing continues to change. Now, for your second question, related to any advice that I would give to a student that's trying to figure out, okay, what do I want to be when I grow up? Here's the thing, no one really knows, and that's okay. What I would say is it is a marathon, not a sprint. And it's very common. Listen, I was a graduate too, where you feel like it's time to sprint as soon as you finish your job. Most students were going to change their job, right? That feels like not kind of the dream that we all have when we're finishing school. And so understanding that it's a marathon, not a sprint, and understanding that jobs are really, they're about managing trade-offs, because mm-hmm. there's no perfect job. So one of the things, depending on the class, I will talk about is the jobs that are really, 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 really cool. And I've worked in some of these jobs. It's really cool, and you're at a concert, and then you're at the Super Bowl, and then you're working with this awesome CMO of some cool brand and client,
yeah.
and that's really cool. The really cool jobs, there's normally some trade-off that comes with that.
Yes.
So it may pay a little bit less, or it may be really stressful, or it may be really competitive, or all of the above. And there are other jobs that are okay, this job is really hard. Say you're or even stressful, a media sales executive, right? Mm-hmm. It's it's stressful because I work on commission, and that's stressful. But also, I have a lot of flexibility in terms of my schedule, and if I'm successful, I can, be compensated really, really well. Media salespeople, it's not uncommon to be well into a six-figure range, not that long into a career, right?
Wow.
And so, first and second year even. It's possible. I've seen many people do it. And so, but there's a different trade-off. It's like, okay, well, but if you're not successful, you will not be compensated well. And then there's a lot of in between. And so I would say that I have worked on the media side. I've worked as a consultant on the brand side, working directly with brands. And I've also worked on the agency side. And there's trade-offs to all of them. And that doesn't mean that none of them are perfect, and they all have pros and cons. And as people, we'll be in different stages where I've had many friends that are like, they start in one stage where they're like, right now I want money, or I want I don't even care about money. I want to do really cool creative work, and I want to I want to see my work on a billboard and see it in Times Square and all of those things. But then that might change. Like you get a little older and you're like, actually, you know what, I want more creativity, or I want more money, or I want less stress, or I don't mind more stress. And so understanding that it's a trade-off, I think is healthy framing. As I work with students many times involved with helping them make contacts to get jobs. The understanding that it is a trade-off, and then having, as we are graduating, kind of having an idea of what we think. I think I understand what's most important to me. That makes you, from someone that's hired many people, it makes you an attractive candidate if you kind of appear to have an understanding of what you're getting yourself into. So you can be more sure if you're a hiring manager, oh, this person kind of gets there's no perfect job, and this one comes with, it's better in this way and it's worse in this way. More flexibility, less money. More money, less flexibility. Cooler work, more stressful work, all of those different things. And so I think that makes students that have reflected on what's important to them, and they're able to articulate that to a possible employer, I think that makes you a very strong candidate for employment, because you appear to understand what's important to you, and so it makes it more likely that you can get a good fit.